Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're taking a journey through time, exploring the incredible architectural evolution of one of the world's most iconic cities, New York. From its humble beginnings as a tiny European outpost to the forest of glass and steel we see today, New York's skyline tells a story of ambition, innovation, and constant reinvention. So, grab your virtual walking shoes, because we're about to cover 400 years of history, one building at a time. Our story begins in the 17th century, in a settlement called New Amsterdam. The first European structures here were built by the Dutch. Forget the towering skyscrapers for a moment, and picture this. Modest, narrow houses with steep gabled roofs, made from wood and local stone. The Dutch brought their building traditions with them, creating a little piece of Amsterdam on the tip of Manhattan. They used distinctive patterns in their brickwork, like the crossbond, and featured high stoops to protect against flooding and street refuse. Sadly, very few of these original Dutch colonial buildings survive today. The Wyckoff House in Brooklyn, built around 1652, is a rare and precious example, giving us a tangible link to the city's very first chapter. These early buildings were practical, sturdy, and reflected the merchant-class values of the Dutch settlers. They laid the very first grid of streets in Lower Manhattan, a blueprint that would be both followed and fantastically disrupted centuries later. In 1664, everything changed. The British took control of the colony and renamed it New York. With this political shift came a major architectural one. The quaint Dutch style gave way to the more formal and symmetrical British Georgian style, which was popular across the British Empire. Think of St. Paul's Chapel, completed in 1766. It's a perfect example of this era. It's characterized by its elegant proportions, classical columns, and a sense of balanced, ordered design. Georgian architecture was a statement. It symbolized British power and a new, more refined social order. Townhouses built in this period were wider than their Dutch predecessors, often made of brick or stone, with decorative elements like pediments over the doors and multi-pane sash windows. This style dominated the city's landscape right up through the American Revolution, giving New York a distinctly English feel and setting the stage for its future growth as a major port city in the newly formed United States. The 19th century was a period of explosive growth for New York. The city's population boomed, fueled by immigration and industrialization. This transformation demanded new types of buildings, and architecture responded in a big way. The Industrial Revolution brought mass-produced materials like cast iron, which allowed for larger windows and more decorative facades at a lower cost. Entire districts, like Soho, are famous for their cast iron buildings. These structures were often used for factories and department stores, their strong iron frames allowing for wide, open interior spaces, perfect for machinery or displaying goods. As the century progressed, revival styles became all the rage. There was Greek Revival, with grand columned buildings like Federal Hall, projecting an image of democracy and permanence. Then came the Gothic Revival, most famously seen in Trinity Church, with its soaring spire that once dominated the lower Manhattan skyline. This era was a grand experiment, a mix and match of historical styles as the city forged its identity. It was also a time of great public works, like the Brooklyn Bridge, a marvel of engineering that stitched the growing metropolis together and became an icon in its own right. As we entered the late 19th and early 20th centuries, a technological revolution was about to change the face of New York forever: the invention of the steel frame. Before this, the height of a building was limited by the thickness of its walls. The taller you built, the thicker the base had to be, which wasn't practical. But the steel frame changed the game entirely. It created a strong, light skeleton that could support the building's weight, meaning the outer walls were just a curtain to keep the weather out. This innovation, combined with the invention of the safety elevator, unleashed a race to the sky. Early skyscrapers like the Flatiron Building, completed in 1902, amazed the public with their daring height and unique shape. The architectural style of this period was often Beaux-Arts, featuring lavish ornamentation, grand entrances, and classical details applied to these new, towering forms. The Woolworth Building, finished in 1913, was dubbed the Cathedral of Commerce for its Gothic-inspired terracotta details and staggering height. For the first time, the city's skyline wasn't defined by church spires, but by the monuments of capitalism and ambition. This was the birth of the modern skyscraper, and New York was its cradle. The race to the top truly hit its stride in the 1920s and 30s with the rise of the Art Deco style. The Roaring Twenties were a time of opulence and glamour, and the architecture reflected it. Art Deco skyscrapers are defined by their sleek, geometric forms, setbacks that create a stepped-back profile, and intricate, stylized ornamentation. Think of the Chrysler Building, with its gleaming eagle gargoyles and sunburst crownlet, a masterpiece of the style, a pure expression of industrial-age modernism and luxury. Just a year later, in 1931, the Empire State Building was completed, claiming the title of the world's tallest building for nearly 40 years. These buildings weren't just tall, they were symbols of progress, power, and American ingenuity. They captured the imagination of the world and established the iconic New York skyline we know from countless movies and photographs. A 1916 zoning law actually mandated the use of setbacks to ensure that sunlight could still reach the streets below, inadvertently giving these Art Deco towers their distinctive, wedding cake shape and contributing to their unique aesthetic appeal. After World War II, architecture took another sharp turn with the arrival of the International style. This modernist movement stripped away all the ornamentation of the past. The new philosophy was less is more. Architects like Mies van der Rohe championed a style defined by clean lines, simple geometric forms, and glass curtain walls. The Seagram, building on Park Avenue, completed in 1958, is the quintessential example. It's a sleek, bronze and glass box that projects an image of corporate power and cool, understated elegance. This style dominated skyscraper construction for decades. You can see it in buildings like the former World Trade Center towers and countless office buildings across Midtown. While some critics found the style cold or anonymous, its influence was undeniable. It transformed skylines not just in New York, but across the globe, creating a universal language of modern corporate architecture. The glass box became the default symbol of a modern, forward-thinking city, and it all started right here. So, where is New York architecture headed now? The last few decades have been a fascinating mix of styles. Postmodernism reacted against the severity of the International style, reintroducing historical references and playful forms, like in the Sony Building with its famous Chippendale top. Today, the focus is on star-architecture and super-skinny towers. Architects like Frank Gehry, Jean Nouvel, and Zaha Hadid have left their mark with buildings that twist, bend, and sparkle, pushing the limits of engineering. Along Billionaires Row south of Central Park, ultra-slender residential towers are piercing the sky, using advanced engineering to achieve incredible height-to-width ratios. These new buildings are all about creating luxury spaces with breathtaking views. At the same time, there's a growing emphasis on sustainability and green design, incorporating energy-efficient features and green spaces into these new vertical giants. From the One World Trade Center, a symbol of resilience, to the vessel at Hudson Yards, a piece of interactive public art, the city continues to build, innovate, and redefine itself. From the first Dutch farmhouses to the super-tall skyscrapers of the 21st century, New York City's architecture is a living museum. It tells the story of immigration, trade, technological breakthroughs, and boundless ambition. The city's grid, once a simple plan for a small town, became the stage for one of the most dramatic architectural experiments in human history. Every brick, every steel beam, every pane of glass has a story to tell. It's a skyline that has inspired millions and has been copied the world over, yet remains utterly unique. What started as a small European settlement has truly become a blueprint for the global metropolis. Thanks so much for joining me on this architectural tour of New York City. What's your favorite building or architectural style in New York? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more deep dives into the history around us. See you in the next one.